Hi.
Hello.
Well, hello there.
So we are very happy to have you here.
Welcome to
And-
UniCon.
Thank
you very
you.
much.
In
Great to
Las
be here.
Vegas.
Welcome to Vegas, everybody. Yes, everything stays here in Vegas, right? Is that how that happens?
So I think the thing with Dragon Ball Z is I know lots of people, first of all, that men that think they're Goku in real life. I'm a bartender, and I cannot tell you the number of times I have seen grown men doing poses and just going at it. And I'm like, y'all, it's like a mentor for them.
There are many stories of, I see a bunch of fans on Instagram that they say that Dragon Ball Z, but particularly Goku, has like changed their life. That the guys that were really heavy that said, I'm doing this. I'm gonna work out and I'm gonna be like Goku. And it's amazing. Like when we started producing this thing in the early 90s, it was actually my company that was hired to reversion the Japanese scripts, like the very, very first dubs. And we had no concept that it would end up being the phenomenon that it is. So, I mean, credit to the fans and just no idea, but it's big, isn't it?
So
It started in 1989, ran for 9 seasons. So here we are in Las Vegas. If you were a bookie, what would you have booked the number of years over and under that the show would have lasted?
What's a bookie?
What would you bet on it?
Hedge your bets. I don't know. I know that in terms of in the States, it was so huge, especially on Toonami, the first run in the early 2000s.
Woo!
And when I became a part of the Funimation dub, once it moved from Vancouver to Texas, it was already like #1. The kids at home after school and all that. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then I was hired to do the adult voice of Gohan once Gohan goes to high school, and ever since, Super and all that. So I've been doing that, and I had no idea. I thought, yeah, popularity, like anything, it's going to die down a little bit, but it never went away. And now, to this day, at conventions, you're meeting families who are even naming their children after characters in shows. I have met a kid named Gohan, and it's like, what? I don't know if they're going to grow up bitter and need therapy because of this. It's like, this is Harry Potter.
It's all your fault.
Anakin and Amidala, and I was like, what? Like, my parents were nerds, but I think it's cool.
Well, I'll tell you, when the project came into our doors, it was just another animation project from Japan that needed English voices. And to be brutally honest with you, if I was to do this bet, it would be whatever the minimum is. Because there didn't seem to be anything special about it. It was...
So half a season would have been the minimum.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So wrong.
Happily wrong.
Happily wrong.
Right on.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing about this show too is that, in a way, it almost brought anime in a way mainstream here.
Totally.
Yes.
Because we had a lot of like actual fluffy cartoons, the characters are round and happy and da-da-da-da. And this is, at times can be dark show, and then we go after like the fighting scenes, the animation is very, it's just different, And
it was totally different. Put yourself in 94 or whatever it was when we started working on it. It looked completely different than any other animation. So some people loved it. Some people went, what is this? Like, they're not even moving. There's 3 movements per second.
Almost like the Godzilla movies.
Yeah, it was a bit jarring. So, but I think that was part of the appeal because it was so different. This is different. This is new. This is something for me, not anything old and art is like that. Entertainment is like that. People are always looking for some niche that they can call their own, and this is a big one.
And I know that storytelling wise, it was rare to see story arc or character arcs where they would start as a child, they grow up, they get married, they have kids, it follows their kids, and so on. It's like you're used to seeing, Charlie Brown or The Simpsons, and everyone just stays the same age forever. And in anime, I grew up in the '70s, so the term anime didn't even exist yet.
Right.
Watching Speed Racer and things. Once Star Wars came out, then you suddenly had Battle of the Planets and Voltron and Robotech and all that stuff, and you started to see in this transformation, where anime was no longer just something in some back room, video room at a convention, at a Comic-Con convention. It became mainstream, and now more than ever, my God. And yeah, exactly like you were saying, Dragon Ball Z was one of those tentpole, crossover things that people came into the fandom. Like, what is anime? Pokemon obviously did, I think, Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, a lot of the dubs that came from Vancouver that you worked on.
Yeah.
They mentioned something that you talked about with some of our other panels this weekend, where they said kids would come home after school to watch the show, but that seems to be a trend of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and something that we've been talking about, that where you basically became afternoon safe keys, the things that they do for the kids after school to get home and watch, right? I mean, you're part of the lives of these kids who watched you guys as part of their afternoon routine coming home from school every day.
Now I'm feeling really responsible.
Right? You don't think about that you're in the vacuum of you're in the booth.
Yeah.
And you do your take, and the director's like, great, moving on. And then once it's out in the ether, it's out there in the world, and then suddenly, thanks to social media, fans are like immediately on, hey, great job on so-and-so. Your character changed my life. Like, what? Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
You guys were our babysitter.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
We instill those important values into the children's heads. We're the future. No, you're the future, but we're responsible for guiding you down these weird paths, right?
I'm going to teach you how to scream for 1 minute straight.
That's the stuff I see at the bar. I'm like,
Yeah, the great Saiyaman. See, the normies, they'll just think, are you constipated? Like, no, I'm powering up.
Hold on, I got more.
so that's the thing too, is like even the normies like with this show know what it is to an extent
Yeah.
because of the popularity of it,
Right.
and it being one of the first shows to bring this here. And it was a time when it came out that I remember when you had to order anime online from other countries because you couldn't walk in a comic shop here and get that stuff. You
Right.
had to order it on, and especially the DVDs.
Yes.
So it was like a treat if you or your kid was into that, where the mail came and you finally have like that edition or that new one. Yeah. So it was definitely groundbreaking.
Ricky, I heard that, by the way. He said back in the old days, ordering.
I'm feeling so old.
I remember VHS, the clamshell packages.
Yes. Remember when you had to go into a video store and rent something?
Yeah, and if you wanted to buy it, oh God.
Do you want the subtitled version or the dubbed?
Well, this will be $49.95, or the dub was $10 cheaper.
And, we forgot to mention that this panel is sponsored by The Chosen Prime.
Yes,
and
man.
Game Nest. Just so happen to be companies that I think our guests are a little familiar with. Why don't you talk about them?
Chosen Prime is awesome. Not only can I go and talk with the owner about cars, which I love, but he's got like one of the nicest booths here. Not to disparage anyone else's booth,
No, of course.
but like it's really slick. Transformers, oh my, go! It's really good.
Right? Yeah. I mean, seriously.
That was
Why
another
would you
show I
say
was
that?
in. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Dragon Ball, right?
Right? Yeah.
I was in Beast Wars, Transformers, in case any of you guys remember.
I only endorse awesomeness, and they are awesomeness.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure you're aware, but I don't know if you realize the impact that Dragon Ball Z actually, so the new thing is for people to communicate through memes. Like most people I know, my friends, people back home, I won't talk to them for weeks and then they'll just randomly send me a meme. And that's like our way of communicating, especially with the younger TikTok generation.
Yes.
So Dragon Ball Z in particular has a very mainstream niche in this world where I cannot tell you the countless memes I have seen, particularly of Goku, but it's just endless. And I think that helped with the normies knowing what this is as well.
Yeah.
Memes, social media has been like the greatest groundswell of going viral, literally. I mean, it's just, word of mouth, internet style, to get a message in new and creative ways to people out there. It's like, watch this. I mean, yeah, you got people in their 40s and older going, we're on the kids version of, we're on TikTok. It's like, this is our place. We stake it. And now the grown-ups are like, that's our place too. Now the kids have to go, they go like, no. We need to find something else that the grown-ups are not going to take over. But we're like Gen X, right? So now we're seeing a lot of older folks on TikTok doing like the kids, maybe not the same exact, material, but it's like, hey, cool. And they're spreading things like Team 4 Star with YouTube and the abridged. That's like free advertising, for the actual shows. And there's new fans of the shows that came. They first watched the parodies, and then they got interested in checking out the original show that it was based on. It's like, hey, win-win.
I think it's great. When you think about it, you guys are known for your voices, not so much the face per se, it's the voice.
Good thing.
Well, the legacy factor, though, of what your voice is allowing to continue on forever. Have you thought about what you've done to be really a legacy project? Because your characters will live forever because of your voices. This is a legacy forever.
A lot of responsibility.
No kidding.
Sorry, I didn't mean to dump
Put
that
the
on you.
pressure
Sorry.
on.
No pressure. It's conventions like this that really bring that home. Where, I mean, you probably get the same thing, but I get a lot of, you were the voice of my childhood.
Yes.
I did lots of different series, lots of different voices, and this is a little off track, but I was always surprised when I got cast to sort of sound like me in a Goku's a dramatic character. My forte is stupid comedy. And I started getting hired for these like young, sort of macho, serious action guys like Goku and Cheetor and Mega Man. And it was just such a laugh for me. But, and again, sort of some reminded me of something Kyle said. You go in the studio and you don't know if these things are going to live on or if they're going to die or you're just doing your job to the best of your ability. And to hear, I've been doing it for a long time now. It's heartening. Like you just think, wow, I guess I did something.
Feels very validating.
Yeah.
Any
I love
actor will
it.
tell you. It's like, of course, we embrace the craft. We love what we do, but to be appreciated, and have people like, of course, that validates you. It's like social media before social media. It's like, you like me. Yeah,
You really like me. Yeah, exactly.
But you've definitely left your mark.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we can
Yeah, I've
die,
done
and
that.
this stuff will be like, remember back in the 2000s? When
Yeah.
Well, in this world, you guys are legends, so
Thank you.
you have
Thank you. I prefer to say that it's the properties that we are just associated with it because we get to have such a cool job that lives on. We're just one piece of the puzzle, There's the writers, the animators, directors, music composers, and of course studios. Maybe in our case, we're talking about DBZ. We're talking about Toei back in Japan, and then the offices in Vancouver, the offices in Texas, and everywhere that's helping keep this thing alive.
Funny stories. Give us a funny story. Did you guys do your animation in the same studio together? Was everybody there at the same time or separate studios?
Nope, that's not the way dubbing works. There's two ways to record animation. There's prelay, where in a perfect world, everyone is in the same studio as if you're doing a radio play and you just read the script live. And then there's dubbing, which is what we're talking about today. Dragon Ball Z was done in a different language, Japanese. and it pre-exists. So you're now looking at the screen and trying to match the lip flaps of the character. So I have a funny story because, and I can't remember because I did so many different Japanese projects in those days. It may have been a Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z episode, and you guys will probably know this better than I will, but here's the story. So we would liaison with the clients in Japan because there was always someone who needed to, be able to read the real Japanese, hear the real Japanese, and explain what was going on. And so we had this scene where, and my job not only was a voice actor, but I was a producer of sorts, and rewrote the straight English dialogue translation into more of a colloquial, like English that makes sense point of view. So here's the scene. There's a cliff, and there's this girl who's, basically in some sort of school girl's uniform. Big surprise in Japanese animation. Anyway, isn't there always a character that looks like a schoolgirl? Right. So she's running along, and she, for some reason, gets pushed or falls off a cliff. Grabs onto a branch. Wide shot. She's hanging on this branch. Of course, you can see her undies because it's Japanese. And she's hanging there. And then suddenly, there's this weird kind of sequence, and we're looking now up at her, hanging from this branch. It's dark-ish, and stars drop from her. And we're going, what? Can we get Yoshi or whoever on the line? What is this? And we're going, is there some magic that we're missing? Because it's stars, it looks magical. Yeah. So Yoshi's not his name. I'm just making that up. He's on the line. He goes,
Oh, yes. No, that is not magic. That is a pee-pee.
what? So we're gonna have to change that. She's peeing.
Edit.
So there's my
Stars.
Was that a Dragon Ball episode, do you think?
It's been a few.
A few. There's a lot. So this is an ongoing, like a little pee-pee thing. Anyway, so
When you see things that just make your jaw drop like that, I have a phrase, oh, Japan.
I don't know if it makes our jaw drop in Las Vegas,
yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not.
but definitely when you see it on TV or children's
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah. Yeah, we faced a lot of issues in that the original of Dragon Ball, for example, it's a very violent show. You've seen it uncut. Of course, there are broadcast standards, so that is why it was edited. And people were like, aiming blame at the wrong people. They were telling, you're ruining Dragon Ball. It's like, actually, no, I'm doing the job as I was hired to do. The script is what it is, and everything's approved because they have to meet those requirements. It's like, let's Photoshop the blood out. Let's change cigarettes to lollipops, et cetera, et cetera. And the ratings are like, hey, ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'm trying to do that in Las Vegas. Can I change that cigarette into a lollipop, please?
Yeah.
Megan, I think I'm right over here.
There you are.
Here I am.
Oh,
I think we have, about 12 minutes left, 10 minutes left?
yeah.
-10.
So I think what I'd like to do is let's make this the Phil Donahue style portion.
Yes.
Of the past. I just dated myself. I don't know how many people know
I
Phil
got
Donahue.
your reference. I got it.
Right, you got it? Wait, I got one clap in the background. So I'd like to come out to get a question or two. We have a little time.
Sure.
And since this gentleman right here has been interacting, I have a funny feeling he's got some questions. Give us one.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Very much for what you've contributed to several anime fans' childhoods. As Megan was saying, Dragon Ball Z really helped put anime on the map, at least for people here in America, in my opinion. So thank you very much for contributing to that. Anyway, my question is, as we know, Dragon Ball Z it spanned 9 seasons. There's Dragon Ball, there was Dragon Ball GT, there was something called Dragon Ball AF Online, and there's just, for a while after, GT ended, we weren't really sure what was going to come of Dragon Ball, and a lot of fans were kind of sad about that because we feel like there's so much, there's that 7-year gap, like it's got to happen. And then when Battle of Gods was announced, it was like a huge parade for everybody because we're finally going to get Dragon Ball back. Our childhood is coming back, and of course we got all these great movies that followed with it. So for you guys as the voice actors, and if you don't have a story for Dragon Ball, that's fine. But like when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, and when it did come back, and now that we have Dragon Ball Z Kai, and we have Dragon Ball Super, what was a moment for you, even if it's not for those, that you were just really excited about Dragon Ball Z, really excited to take on that character, really happy to reunite with everybody, or just have your voice involved in that again? So basically, the question is, what's one of the most exciting times you've had voice acting for Dragon Ball Z, either before or after Battle of Gods when it made a big comeback?
There was a moment when we started kind of a redub of Dragon Ball Z called Dragon Ball Z Kai, which chopped all the filler arc out, but we dubbed that, and it was an interesting experiment in that most of the cast came back. They recast just a handful of roles, but it was a chance for the actors to use their experience as an actor ever since they started in the late 90s, early 2000s, and now redub those things with much more experience and a new script, more faithful to the original Japanese script. So we could do that rare thing where, we go in, we're the actors. We don't get to choose what take and all that. We don't, So they may pick a take that we personally wish they didn't. It's like, that's overacted, or this, that, and the other. But this one, it's like, okay, we get to redub this. Usually it's on such a breakneck pace that you have to just do it and go, and it's done, and it gets edited, and it broadcasts, blah, 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 blah. But here we are, it's like, well, we're going to do this scene over, and this time we're going to skip this scene, but we're going to revisit this. It's like, oh, that's so rare, So that was an exciting time, and of course, when the movies of the past few years, that's like, I figured at this point, we just see Dragon Ball movies from here on out, because they're honestly cheaper to make that way, and they prove to be box office like giants, especially in nowadays when people think, oh yeah, only Hollywood and Marvel can dominate. Like, well,
make room for Dragon Ball Z.
True facts. True facts.
All right. Who else has a quick question?
Hello, heroes. So recently there was the Dragon Ball announcements of the new movie coming out, the Dragon Ball superhero movie. So I just wanted to know if maybe you guys have been tapped already to do the dubbing for that or not.
Certainly not me. I retired from Dragon Ball. I just set the voice. So it wouldn't be me. Unless there's a big change going on that I don't know about.
I'm not aware of anything. I wish I was privy to some sort of knowledge, but unfortunately, I don't know any more than the fans do, which is what that teaser that dropped, and there's nothing about the plot or anything. A lot of questions I get is Gohan going to be in it? Is it going to have Great Saiyaman because it's called superhero? It's like, I really don't know. I don't, I'm hopeful that Gohan will show up, because in the Broly movie, they don't even mention his name. He's not even there. It's like, oh, sad face. He's only the son of the main character. Come on.
All right, I have one question back here.
My question for you guys, what is your favorite fan encounter so far?
Favorite fan encounter? That's a tough one, because they're so different. I think in general, I'm going to answer this as a generality. I really love when I see fans who are clearly huge fans of the show, that maybe are a little socially awkward, or have maybe are on the spectrum of some sort, and coming out to a convention like this is a major undertaking for them. And they come out and feel at home in this kind of safe place, and express that to them, to you as a performer, as an actor. It's really touching, because that it's so easy to be an outcast. Like we're all nerds at one level or another, and it's just really really sweet when you know that they come out and give an effort to come and see you. It's great.
I think the cool part about that is that the kid, like you said, the kids can come here and it's like their safe place, and they can meet people that are into the same things as them. And nowadays, it used to be obscure things in the normal world, but it's not even that obscure anymore. Most of the stuff is getting more mainstream, and now people that used to like, I know personally, be like, you're dressing up like a costume, and now they want to come and participate and be here.
I think we're going to wrap it right with that point. Yeah, that's a good point. Gentlemen, closing comments as we get ready to wrap up our panel.
Just thanks so much for coming out. Both Kyle and I are that way. You'll find us. We're right beside each other. Come and say hi, and thanks for coming out.
Yeah, and if you're watching this online, can we find you on the Twitterverse?
Oh yeah, I'm mostly Instagram, Ian James Corlett, just the way it's spelled, and a little bit of Twitter, but Instagram you'll find me, and I'll say hi.
I'm at Kyle Hebert on Twitter, Kyle Hebert on Instagram, Kyle Hebert VO on TikTok.
There you go.
I have a podcast. I want to plug that real too.
Yes.
Intergalactic Boombox. Type that anywhere you listen to podcasts. I do geek news all by myself, and I do different voices and interact with myself. So let's give it a try. The Intergalactic Boombox. Thank you.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, big thank you to Ian Corlett, Kyle Hebert. Give him a great hand. Thank you, everybody.